Welcome back everybody to the channel. This week we are taking a look at the 2025 Acura Integra Elite A-Spec. So this is the trim you're gonna go with if you can't afford the Type S or you simply don't need all the power. This Integra platform is solid, but I was obviously spoiled when I got to drive the Integra Type S for the first try with the Integra platform. But still, I think the Elite A-Spec has some Type S kind of things in it and reminds me slightly of it. So it's still a very good daily driver that's got enough speed and luxury for anyone. But of course, I'm going to show you the exterior, the interior, and of course a POV drive. Let's get into it. So first up, as usual, is our front end. Very aggressive looking. In the rain here, looks pretty cool. Daytime running LEDs look very nice. I do have parking sensors, so that is going to be good to have. I just love the aggression of the front end. Looks really cool. I love the ride height too. It's got a good presence as well in the front here. Really hard to complain about it. It does look just as aggressive, you know, as the Type S, minus the fender flares there, but still a really good overall front end wise. So under the hood, we have a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine giving us 200 horsepower, 192 pound-feet of torque. It's powered by the automatic CVT, but you can get it in a manual transmission should you want it. And of course, it's standard in front-wheel drive. So if that engine seems familiar, it's because it is. You can also find the same one in the Civic SI, which is quite interesting, but obviously the Acura product is a lot more luxurious. All right, so now quickly we come to the side profile for the A-Spec Elite. One of my favorite positions to look at the vehicle. I really like the presence of it. I love the ride height of it as well. Looks really good. The black rims don't look that good, at least on the camera. In person, probably a little bit better. We've got the A-Spec badge here along the side that looks very nice and clean there. It looks kind of cool in the rain, actually. Intelligent door handles, turn signal LEDs, you name it, we've got it. And then we'll quickly move on to the back here, where we do have, you know, an aggressive looking back end. I love these tail lights here with, again, the A-Spec badge, and you've got like kind of the Integra right here, the little detail kind of, it's indented into the bumper here. So very nice look for that. We do have a little bit of an exhaust, not much of a sound coming out of it, and a slight bit of a diffuser. Next, I'll just open the trunk here. Also, you can see, look at that, a little bit of a rear wing. Not going to complain about it, but the trunk is very nice. It's kind of got like the hatch opening, which is really cool, and you've kind of got like a cargo net here and stuff like that. The A-Spec badge, you've got a speaker back here as well, which is very nice and clean, but tons of space here in the rear for the trunk. Can fit a lot of stuff, quite deep. I like how deep it is. Very nice. So that's going to about do it for my tour of the Acura Integra A-Spec Elite. Let me know what you think about the overall design. Would you get it in this spec? Would you get it in this color? Personally, I think it is a very nice looking exterior, a very nice car that has a decent presence on the road. But of course, let's hop inside next. All right, so first up, we're going to take a look at the back seat for the Acura Integra here. A nice mix of materials for the door. I really enjoy this red interior. And look, I've got 3 levels of heated seats back here, so that's very good. Looking at the interior though, more red, just red everywhere, but it looks really good in terms of the seats. I got just enough room to fit in here, so let's do that. Close the door, and this is my driver profile that I am currently sitting behind. You can see I've got just enough room. My knees are not touching this seat that much. I've got a little bit of headroom back here as well, so not terrible there. Baby seat fits very nice. Plenty of storage there as well. 2 USB-C ports, no vents. It is a small cabin, so it's like, it doesn't matter. Would have been nice to see though in the price point, of course, but I will take the heated seats. That is an addition back here. I've also got this guy that can fold down. Of course, my baby seat is in the way, so I gotta move that over a bit to make that happen. But still, the only thing I will complain in terms of like child stuff is like these headrests don't raise, so I have to like attach my mirror like around the headrest, and it's not always the most secure thing, but that's not gonna be a problem if you don't have kids or car seats. So let's check out up front. All right, next up as usual is the front seat for our Acura Integra, and much of the same thing. A good split of the material, good split of the black, red, and the chrome. We've got the ELS Studio 3D speaker right here, 2 sets of memory seats, which is nice to have. Then we look at the seats from the outside. These are very comfortable seats, and there's just like a good mix of like this cloth and leather, and it holds you really well. And I'm just overall very happy with this seat and the seating position here. But these seats are really comfortable. They're kind of like bucket form too, so they do hold you well, and they're also power adjustable. So once you're actually sitting down in the Integra, you get greeted by this very nice and familiar looking steering wheel. We've seen this steering wheel on quite a bit of the Acura products, but I don't mind it because it's physical buttons for, you know, the lane keep and the phone controls and stuff like that. And then we also do have paddle shifters. They are extremely plastic, but look, they are still there, so I won't complain. I like the A-Spec badge right here. Heated steering button, which is very nice to have. Traction control off all the way to the left. You can see I've got aluminum pedals. The steering wheel is manual adjusted, but no big deal. Got a digital gauge cluster right over here. Looks very good, and it'll change a little bit based on the drive mode that I'm in. So I've got comfort, I've got sport, and I've got individual. Usually I'll drive it in individual mode. You can also kind of customize what you see in these gauge clusters here. So whether it's the left or the right one, you can see some vehicle information, or your fuel economy, or your media, whatever you want. You can pretty much have it set up there. Now we move over to our digital infotainment display. It's plenty big enough for the car. I really don't find that I have a problem with the size. I'm just kind of surprised it didn't get the Google treatment like the Civic SI did, and I believe some of the Honda Civics have it as well. I'm not saying that this is a bad system, because it is absolutely not. I don't really think they need to fix anything. This is still a very good system. It's just a little surprising that they didn't kind of follow the Honda trend. You think Acura would be on it before Honda, but not the case, at least here in this Integra. But I've got all of my vehicle settings. I can change my individual mode from here. Wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, built-in navigation. It's all right there. And the good news is I don't have to control everything via this infotainment display. I can just use the knobs here and the physical buttons to control all of the HVAC stuff, and I can turn off my heated seats from there as well. USB port for the actual connection to the vehicle, and then a charging port, which is USB-C. I feel like at this point we should just either be offering both for the vehicle connection or just the USB-C. I feel like the world is coming that way now. Wireless charging pad in case you don't want to use the plugs, which I usually will use the plug. Standard shifter, no messing around, no buttons, no knobs, no dials, just a straight up convenient, comfortable little gear selector. I don't mind that at all. We've got the individual button, the drive mode button, the auto start stop button off, electronic parking brake, and the brake hold button right here. This area here is like, I mean, you're not going to touch it very much, but over time it will get scratched up because it's a ton of piano black. I mean, look how reflective it is in my hand. Not a fan of that. Would have maybe liked to see like a fake carbon fiber or some type of fake silver, something. Maybe perhaps like something like this trim over here that's just going to look a little bit less reflective, but that's just a personal preference thing. Got some deep cup holders, which I do enjoy, and then I have some storage in there. Passenger seat is also power adjustable. Same thing, looks really nice. Got a little bit of a sunroof right here. Sunglass compartment, and yeah, I do like the overall look in here. It's a clean look. I like the way the black contrasts with the red and the silver. They've done a really good job at giving this a premium look, and so just for that, I enjoy it, and I'm comfortable, and I'm always having a good time when I'm sitting in here. So that being said, it was a short little overview of the interior of this Acura Integra, but you have seen it before, so there's not a lot to go over, but it's still a very nice place to spend time. But let me strap this GoPro to my forehead, and let's see what the Integra Elite A-Spec has got on the road. All right, so on the road now, 2025 Acura Integra Elite A-Spec, at least the Canadian spec, because I think the A-Spec is called something different. I think it's called the A-Spec Tech or something like that. I'm in the CVT, the automatic transmission version. And look, I'll tell you right now, I probably would prefer the manual version of this thing, and I'm really glad it does come in the manual, because it just would take this to like more of an enthusiast level, mixed with still, quite a bit of that luxurious stuff that Acura comes with. And also just generally, I'm usually not the biggest fan of CVTs. It's just, they just don't feel as good as like a dual clutch or a genuine 8-speed, 6-speed automatic would. So yeah, I tend to lean heavily towards the manual transmission if it's only a CVT in the Acura, but it hasn't been bad for daily driving. Like, it's been very easy to use. It's just when you want like the sportiness, you'll see it in a second here, it just kind of like, you just miss the shifts, you just don't feel like you're going anywhere. It just feels like you're just straight line, but it doesn't feel like aggressive. So here, let's put it in full sport mode here. Go through this. All right, we'll get it going in a second here. My stuff's probably gonna fly around a bit. All right, so let's give full beams here. So a little bit of turbo lag, not too much, but like I said, like there's no there's nothing, there's no show to it. It's just straight, it doesn't, I can't feel a gear shift. Even with the paddle shifters, you don't really feel it. So that's what I'm saying, when it comes to the enthusiast, like, you want to feel the drive a little bit more, you just can't with this. and that's part of, why the CVT is never great, especially in the more sporty vehicles. But look, you don't have to get it. You can get the 6-speed manual and you'll feel all the aggression. The car will feel a lot faster. It's the same engine that we find in the Civic SI, like I said. So, that only comes in the manual transmission. So that engine paired with the manual is a very quick feeling engine, more so than something that's paired with the CVT. But other than that, the ride quality is really good. The fact that I have adaptive dampers is really nice. I can put it into my individual mode, have everything in sport mode, and my dampers in comfort mode. So that way I have like a nice and smooth ride pretty much the entire time. Handling is good too. It feels really darty. The Acura feels like really, I can change directions really quickly, and there's such minimal body roll with this thing that it just happens like really, really well, even at speed there. And I just love how darty it feels. How I feel like I can get in and out, between like corners and stuff like that. A very, very cool feeling. The throttle response, the brake response is really nice as well. Visibility, absolutely no issues. I've got blind spot detection, and I'm not a big vehicle, so it's not hard to drive it in parking lots and different things like that. These seats are also super comfortable. I like the way they hold me. I also like how they're kind of buckety. They really hold me in place, like when I'm ripping around town. But you don't necessarily need to always rip around town. Like I'm doing 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers with this Acura, and it's not great, but I've also been driving it in sport mode the entire time. I'm rarely in comfort mode or normal mode or anything like that. I'm always in sport. I'm always ripping around town because it's just more fun to drive it this way. So I've been saying all week, I feel like this kind of takes what the Civic SI is and kind of makes it, takes it to the next level. Gives it a little bit more of a luxurious feel, a little bit more of a luxurious look. We got dampers now, and we've got, the paddle shifters and stuff like that. This one does come in the automatic with the same engine, so it's like, it kind of takes it to another level, gives you that little extra. I just wish it had more horsepower than the Civic SI, even just by a little bit, maybe like 220. 210 even would be good. Maybe just like a stronger powertrain, just to justify the upgrade. Because I don't know about you, but if I could have this kind of power with the Civic SI for quite a bit less money, I'm probably going to do that. It's just easier. Because why this isn't, this is just the A-Spec. It's not the Type S. The Type S is, to me, it's better than the Type R. But with it just being the A-Spec, you could probably be still really happy with just the normal Civic Si, because it will feel relatively the same. You just don't have the adaptive dampers. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I've been thinking about all week. It's very interesting to, it's an interesting thought. I want to know what you think. Would you take the normal Acura Integra, like the A-Spec, with the same engine, same specs and everything like that as the Civic Si, or would you just invest your money in the Civic Si and keep it like that? Mall crawling in general traffic has been really easy. That's the one trade-off. If you were to get a manual, it would be kind of a pain in constant traffic, especially here in Montreal where I live. We're constantly in some type of traffic. It would be a little bit annoying on the day-to-day basis to have to deal with that, but having the CVT has been nice for that. It's just kind of felt easy to use. I've got adaptive cruise control, things like that. So, you could definitely do a road trip in here and be pretty comfortable. No hassle, no up-down gear changes, nothing crazy like that. So you'd probably be pretty happy with yourself there. So even ripping it a little bit in the sport mode, even with the transmission in sport mode, again, I just don't feel it makes it feel a little more aggressive on the upshift and downshift, but not that much. It is my main gripe is that I wish it wasn't a CVT, because CVTs they just can't be fun. I just don't know a CVT that's genuinely fun. Unless the car has a ton of power and a ton of pull, then the CVT doesn't really matter. But if that's my only complaint and you're fine with living with the CVT, then go ahead and get the automatic. You'll be hassle-free when it comes to traffic and stuff like that. But really, that's going to do it for pretty much all my thoughts on the Integra. I've showed you the exterior, the interior, POV drive, pretty much everything that I wanted to. There's not a ton to go over because it's not a Type S. It's not as exciting, but it's still something that's a really good daily driver, a really solid option. It's still luxurious. It's still got some speed. Kind of ticks all those boxes. And yeah, definitely not a bad price point either. Pretty competitive, and I would love to see more of these things out on the road. But of course, I want to know what you think. So let me know what you think. Would you get it in this trim? Would you get it in this spec, CVT or manual? Which one would you prefer? Or would you just, try to save more money and just get the Type S. Let me know what you think in the comments. I always love to hear from you guys. I want to know what you think about literally everything about the vehicle. If you own one, let me know how it's been reliability-wise. And with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe for more videos just like this one. I'll see you in the next week. See you in the next car. Take care.